Welcome to In Your Element, the podcast that unlocks practical wisdom in higher education, where leadership meets real talk. I'm Brendan Hinkle, Manager of Solutions Engineering here at Element 451.
And I'm Daniela Norden, Element 451's Director of Customer Success and Engagement. Join us every other Thursday for discussions with everyday heroes using Element 451 in enrollment, marketing, and student success. We'll unlock the practical tips to help you make waves on your campus.
In Your Element is a part of the Enrollify Network, a robust collection of podcasts designed to help higher education professionals like you grow. Explore our other shows at enrollify.org or check out some of my personal favorites linked in the show notes below.
Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the leading AI-powered all-in-one student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful, personalized, and engaging interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com. All right, everybody, welcome back to the latest episode of In Your Element. I'm super excited to welcome Emily Banks. She's an admissions representative from Faith Baptist Bible College today. Emily's going to walk us through some really cool stuff that she did with her online degree application. But I just want to say, hey, welcome, Emily. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Last we talked, we were kind of talking about some topics and what we wanted to talk about on this episode. And I was so impressed with the work that Faith Baptist Bible College has done on your online degree application. Could you just maybe start by walking through some of the changes that you made? I know you added some class options. I know you automated some emails, but let's just talk about what those changes were and how those changes have improved that experience.
Yeah, sounds good. So we are always kind of looking at our systems and trying to figure out, okay, what can we do better? What can we do to improve the customer experience? And one of the places that we were looking at this year was with our online dual enrollment students and some more of our online degree seeking students. And so it's pretty important to us because I think it's around 41% of our current students have taken a dual enrollment class with us. And typically, the communication with our dual enrollment students is up 50% from if they've not taken a class with us. So it's really, really important for us to look at that process and make it as simple as possible for them so that we can just continue that flow from dual enrollment students to on-campus degree-seeking students. So we were looking at the process, and our application process was pretty smooth within Element. But then after they finished their application, that's where we were kind of left short. It kind of became a thing where they applied, they got accepted, and then it was kind of on them to figure out where the classes were, to call in and register, to figure out how to use Populi on their own and to register by themselves. And so we were finding some frustrations. We were finding some loose ends there where they were calling in a lot to our admissions office, which is great, and we're happy to help. But at that point, they're more of an enrolled student. So we were like, okay, how do we balance both helping them with this, but also we have all these other students that we're trying to recruit. So it was a lot of work for our online representative. And so we looked with our registrar and the rest of our admission staff to try to, how do we condense this? How do we make it a little more user-friendly? And one of the options that we looked at was adding something on the application that would allow them to see the classes, to choose the classes, even though they're still going to be enrolled in Populi, just making the program that they interact with mainly Element. And then we would do the back end of things. Since we were already doing the back end of things, we're just making it easier on them. So what we ended up doing was adding a supplemental form after they've submitted their application with all of the courses. And so we used the data source and we used courses under data sources to add all of our spring classes, and we divided them up so we have some 8-week classes, we have 16-week classes. We divided them up and put that into the supplemental form for them to choose which class they would like to request. And that form goes directly to our registrar. He looks it over. If there's no problems, he just enrolls them right away. And we were able to automate emails that he triggers that will then send to them saying, hey, you've been enrolled. Here's your details. Here are the books you're going to need. Here's your next steps. And so we found, even though it might just be step one, that step one was huge for getting our students from application to next steps. But
It's so huge. It's huge for so many reasons. Those percentages of students, 41%, like, wow, that's almost half the student body that you're serving. And it's huge because it's the student experience that you're prioritizing. They don't have to jump through these hoops. They don't have to know who to talk through on the back end or get rerouted by making
yes.
a relatively simple change and
Mhm.
offering up that form. It just makes it makes that process so smooth. I don't know if you remember, but I remember applying for college and being so stressed out. There's so
Yes.
many things you have to do, financial aid and like moving if you're going to live on campus and trying to pick your courses and all of that stuff. So little things like that. I don't even want to say it's little, it's big. This is a
Yeah.
big thing that like makes a difference in making that student feel seen and heard. So that's awesome. Have you gotten any feedback? I mean, I'm sure the internal team is like, "Oh my gosh, this is so this is so much better."
Yes, and we've just implemented it this past spring, so we're still kind of working through that. We have gotten less complaints, though, I can tell you
Oh,
that.
yes, that counts. That totally
Yes.
counts. Well, and you talked about the communications too and automating some of those emails. Like, what are those emails? What are those workflows that you're using? And how are you making your registrar's life easier by sending out these automated emails?
Yeah, yeah, so I'm honestly really thankful for our registrar because he's put up with a lot of, "Hey, we're gonna try this. Oh, no, wait, that didn't work. Let's try this. Let's do this." And so he's been very flexible with us, and we're trying to find a system that makes it easier for the student, but doesn't make it 10 times harder for him and kind of balance that. So Elwood's been very helpful with that. What we've landed on so far is we will have him, once he does it in Populi on that end of registering them, we added a status onto the application. So after the status has been changed to admitted, he can go in and change that to enrolled, which lets us know, okay, the registrar is taking care of things on his end. They're good to go. So super helpful for that inter-department communication as well. And then he will actually add a tag to their application or a label. We have gone back and forth on which one to use. So we're kind of still figuring out which one we want to do. But with that class name of which ones they've enrolled in. And so then that, using the workflow, we trigger it by label and it sends the correct email for each class. So then you have your details of, all right, who do I contact now? What if I have problems logging into Canvas? Who do I talk to then? So we have direct appointment links through Element on those emails. We've had book lists. We've had just a general, they hadn't gotten anything that just said, hey, you're enrolled. So some kids would be asking, am I enrolled? What happened? Class starts in 2 weeks. I don't know what's going on. And so at least we have sent them something that says, hey, you've been enrolled. We've taken care of our side. What can we do to help next? So, and we're still playing around with what information would be helpful to add in, which things do we not need. Another thing that they're going to need eventually is login information. So should we condense that in one email? Should it be two? So we're still playing around with things, but so far we've liked what we've done and I've had some good results of people just finally having the information without having to go search for it themselves.
It makes such a difference. I was actually working with a partner today and they forgot the sort of notification like email. They jumped right to the next steps, like
Yes.
sign up for orientation and like register for your classes. And I'm like, hey, let's take a minute and acknowledge. So even
Yep.
that email that's like, hey, we've acknowledged you've been admitted. Congratulations. Okay, now we're going to follow up with next step. It's something that people tend to forget about and makes a really big difference. And I think it makes students more susceptible to hearing, like, okay,
Yeah.
now I'm ready for the next step. I'm excited. I can enjoy being accepted, enjoy like hearing back. And then I can think about what those next steps look like. I
Yes.
love the corresponding label idea. It's so nice in Element that you can say, like, if it's biology, then assign, like, enroll them
Mm-hmm.
in the biology workflow, send that email out. And it just does it like for you. Like you don't have to
Right.
constantly be updating. So it's really nice that all that registrar has to do is just assign that label or assign that class and and they are good to go. I love
Yes.
this. Staying on automation, you mentioned using tasks too. So I imagine that the registrar, this is not his full-time job, but maybe it is, to be in here and sort of, figuring out where everything goes and waiting for these supplemental forms to come in. How have you all used tasks to streamline this process? And what are some of the benefits that you've seen in using tasks?
Yeah, yeah. So this is probably the first year that we've really started integrating the registrar, the financial aid office into Element as well. And so it's primarily just been admissions using it for the past few years. And so we've kind of figured out how it works for us, and we're trying to help the others who are connected to admissions also get integrated. And so tasks have been really helpful because they're very simple. And so for people just learning Element, it's like, oh, okay, there's my task list. I'll just go through that. I can get those things done. And so it's been really helpful to get people started and just say, hey, for now, I'll send you a task for everything. So you don't have to learn where to look quite yet. We'll get there. We'll get you. But like you said, Element's not their full-time job. They have a million other things to do. And so we're trying to make it as easy and simple for them as possible. And so, and even to help the registrar, one thing that he struggled with was knowing if a student's accepted or not, because before he didn't really have that connection without asking us in person or by email. Hey, just making sure is a student accepted, because he doesn't want to enroll them if they've not been accepted.
No, he does not.
Nope. And so we've even been able to help him out by just a simple task, not even a to-do, but just to let him know, all right, that student's been accepted. I've seen it. I can check that off. Now I know he can do with it what he wants on his end.
So it's almost using the task as like a notification, not even,
Yes.
oh, I love this.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have several that are just notifications. We've done the same with other forms. So for institutional aid, they have a form that they need to agree to it, saying, they've read it, they're good with that, and that needs to go to a financial aid office. So we have the form submitted. It comes through their application page, but then our financial aid office gets a task that says, hey, student submitted this form. So they can check that off. Okay, I know, I've seen it. They can go look at it in the application if they need to. But it's been very helpful for us to all be on the same page. And the nice thing is just we're all seeing the same thing. So there's not did you see this? No, I didn't. It's not in email anymore. It's in a system that'll stay there. We can go back and reference it. So I've loved it. It's helped communication a lot.
It's so true, though. You're right. Like the reply all email, or like, sending an email to 14 people who need to know, like there's 13 of them who didn't read it. But when you log into Element and you see and you have that all centralized in one place, it makes it a lot easier. And you can go back. I'm one of those people who's like, did I see that email come through, or did that student get enrolled? And you don't have to bug somebody or wait until they're online to be able to log into Element and just look up that student or see if that task has been completed. You're probably your registrar's favorite person this year.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah. So you mentioned earlier that enrollment process was kind of messy before you guys moved everything into here. You mentioned tags, you mentioned labels and sort of using the statuses. It sounds like it's keeping everybody aligned. Have you guys got some feedback, or how are you monitoring if this has streamlined any of those processes for those students, or if it has made it easier for students to enroll?
Yeah. So we track a few things. One of them is just, how many complaints are we having? How many people are calling in for questions, things like that. Another thing that we would track is how many people take a second class with us. And so we've just really started to really dive into our online students, because we've noticed the trends being that they're more likely to respond. They're more likely to become a degree-seeking student than people who have not taken a class with us. And so we really want to make sure our communication is good, our systems are good, so that it helps their overall experience, and they'll consider us as a full-time college student. And the nice thing with the labels that we can do is once you have them there, you see all the classes they took that semester. But before, we would only have an application that says fall 23. So we have no idea how many classes they took. We don't know. We could go look in Populi, but it's nice for us to have that in the one system without having to look up every single student. in a separate system. So now with that, we can see every single class they took. So we could see, all right, they took this many this year and they took this many the next semester. And so we can kind of track which years they've taken what, and if they're a returning student, if they're not. So we've used labels for that. We're experimenting with custom cards on the profile to kind of supplement that. But so that's one of the things that we would hope to see more returning in the years to come. And then also just a conversion rate of how many have taken an online class that transferred to be on campus or degree seeking online. So those are some of the other numbers that we're tracking and hoping to see an increase in the next couple years. But
have you seen any specific increases yet?
I don't know if I could say we have seen increases other than, well, we're still recruiting for fall 25. So I'm interested to see where that class goes, with spring 25 being our first time initiating some of these changes. It'd be interesting to see if by fall 25, the first full round of changes of simplification, if the number increases. The one thing too is our online representative does have more time on her plate to do the actual recruiting, to do the marketing side of things. Whereas before, a lot of the things she was doing was troubleshooting, helping people log in, phone calls, which is a great part of the job, but we don't want that to be the main part of the job. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, I know that you've seen steady increases in enrollment. Like when we talked, your enrollment has increased over the past 5 years, right? And are you on track to meet and exceed, continue to increase enrollment? Talk a little bit about what the last 5 years have looked like for those trends.
Yeah. So in the last 8 years as a college overall, we've doubled in size, which has been fantastic. A couple years ago, we were up about 25% in the dorms. Last year, we were up about 10% in the dorms. And we're still on track for that growth. We're actually in the process of building a new dorm. And so that was approved this last year, and construction's underway, and we're hoping to be done by fall 25. So we were at max capacity this last year, which is a good problem to
Whoa.
have, but a
Yeah.
problem as well. So we're growing.
Fall 25 is going to be a big year. We're going to do a full
Yeah.
circle moment. We're going to say, now that you've got 1 year under your belt, you can come back and tell us the numbers. You got a new
Yes.
dorm. You're going to have more increased enrollment. That's fantastic. Could you say maybe a little bit about what's the role you think tools like Element has played in helping that enrollment increase?
Yeah, I think it's a huge part of it, honestly. I came on in 2022, which was the first full year of using Element. And so with our previous admissions director, Joey Young, he had done the research into Element, had implemented it, and he spent countless hours getting it set up, getting it ready. And I came on just at the tail end of that when we switched from the other system we were using over to Element. And so I think we did see a lot of growth, especially in the number of applications, just because the application process was so much easier than it had been before. So whenever you make things easier for students, for parents, you see an increase in number. And so we definitely saw that in our applications. I would say this year we've seen a jump in students filling out their requirements faster. So sending in their transcripts, getting to the acceptance stage, filling out financial things, doing their interviews. And I think it's because this year we've implemented their application homepage, sending them back. We added their to-do list. We made those a little smoother. We added supplemental forms. They can upload their transcripts directly to that application page. And instead of just getting a text message or an email, hey, you need to do this, that gets lost in all of the other to-dos, we're just constantly pushing them back. Hey, check for updates on your application page. Hey, do the little checklists on your application page. There's links to everything on there. You know, we're doing more phone calls and sending them back there, walking through how do I access that. And we've seen a big jump this year in students getting things done faster, getting accepted faster, which it'll be interesting to see if that even helps with their decision-making process.
It's so interesting because it's easier for both you and the student to drive them back, to the, I think people tend to think, oh, I need to have that big email that has the 14 steps that they need. But it's so much easier to be like, check your application portal for the update.
Yes.
You can upload those documents. It's easier for you and it's easier for them because now they get trained to be like, oh, I don't have to find that email. I don't know if I was on step 3 or
Yes.
step 4, I can just log in and pick up where I left off. So it's so smart to do it that way.
Right. Yeah. And so honestly, one of the best things this year has been I've gotten more of a chance to dive in heavy into Element and see all of the things that we can use and that are there. It's been really fun to just see how other people use it and how we can tweak it to match our needs. It's been a blast. I've loved it.
That's awesome. Well, and congratulations on the enrollment numbers. I mean, I wish not too many institutions can say that they are at max
Right.
capacity and building a new dorm. So that's awesome. Like, good for you guys. That's got to feel good.
We are blessed and thankful.
Yes. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, Emily, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for walking us through this. I think there are a lot of tips here that people can pick up on, and some quick wins too. So you guys sort of thought creatively about that data source and using courses in that supplemental form, but the using tasks as notifications, like that's something that's pretty simple to set up that I think a lot of people will be excited to kind of hear about that haven't thought about that. But we do have one final question for you, and this is the podcast tradition. Since it's the In Your Element podcast, we always ask, when are you in your element in the work that you do?
This might be cliche, but I feel most in my element when I'm working in Element.
That's the quotable quote. I love that.
Honestly, it's been such a joy this year to just be able to dive in. I've loved the updates you guys have had for the past few months and just see all the things that are coming out and just how we can implement those things. It's been really challenging but fun to look at the processes we have as a college and think, how could the software that we have, how could Element improve this? What can we do? What are some changes we can make? And for almost everything, I'd say Element has an answer. There's a way to make it simpler. So I got a whole list of to-dos on which a lot of projects, but I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited to dive in and start working on more things. But yeah, I know it's cliche, but I love it.
I think only one other podcast guest has ever said that, so totally not cliche. I'm not going to lie. I was expecting you to say something about your ultra marathoning, which is just like, I can't even imagine. How many miles is an ultra marathon?
So technically it's anything above 26. So I'm starting with a 32.
Whoa.
32 miler.
When is that one?
It's coming up here in June. So
okay. We will send good vibes to you. I will not be competing in that one. I hate running. I hate anything that has to do in 26 miles. You gotta be kidding me. So I will be cheering you on and sending good vibes and good energy your way for that one. This has been so awesome, Emily. Thank you so much for coming on and for sharing your experience. This has been fantastic.
Thank you so much. It's been great to talk with you.
In Your Element is part of the Enrollify podcast network. If you like this podcast, chances are you'll like other Enrollify shows too.
Our podcast network is growing by the month, and we've got a plethora of marketing, enrollment, and higher ed technology shows that are jam-packed with stories, ideas, and frameworks, all designed to empower you to be a better higher ed professional.
Our shows help higher ed marketers and enrollment professionals find their next big idea and feature a selection of the industry's best as your host. Learn from Mallory Wilsey, Artis Kadu, Maya Demishkovich, and so many other of your favorite leaders in higher ed.
Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the leading AI-powered, all-in-one student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful, personalized, and engaging interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com.